Today, we are going to talk about what is, without a doubt, the most powerful piece of equipment in your golf bag. And no, it's not that new driver. It's your mind. We're going to get into how mastering your mental game can absolutely transform your performance and, honestly, unlock your real potential out there on the course. All right, let's just get right to it because we have all been there. You're standing over a short putt, maybe 4 feet. It's totally makeable. Your body knows exactly what to do. You've practiced it 1,000 times, but your mind is just screaming, whatever you do, don't miss. And all of a sudden, that simple little 4-footer feels like you're trying to walk a tightrope over the Grand Canyon. So what is going on there? It's not a physical problem, it's a mental one. And that really brings us to our first big idea, what I like to call the game inside the game. We spend a small fortune on new clubs, on lessons, on golf balls, but the real battle for lower scores, that's fought in the 6 inches between our ears. Let's dig into why your mind is, hands down, the most important piece of equipment you own. Look, the science here is pretty undeniable. Your thoughts and your emotions have a direct physical effect on your body. When you feel doubt, your brain literally releases stress hormones, which can tighten up your muscles, and that's a disaster for the fine motor control you need for a smooth swing. Fear makes you quicken your tempo, but the focused, positive mind, that lets your body perform freely and execute the exact swing you know you're capable of. It all boils down to this. The story you tell yourself on the course becomes your reality. If you're constantly thinking, ugh, I'm just not a good putter, or I always mess up on this hole, you are actively building a mental wall. It's kind of like programming your brain to fail before you even take the club back. This isn't just some feel-good idea. It is a total performance killer. So the big question is, how do we fix it? Well, that leads us right into our next section. We have to build a champion's mindset, and we have to do it from the ground up. And listen, this is about way more than just thinking positive. It's about fundamentally changing how you look at challenges, at failure, and at your own potential for growth. And it all starts with understanding these 2 core mindsets. First, you've got the fixed mindset. This is the belief that your ability is just static. You're either born a good putter or you're not. Then you have the growth mindset. And that's the belief that you can develop your ability through effort, practice, and better strategies. One keeps you stuck. The other unlocks everything. Think about how you respond to a bad shot. The fixed mindset takes it personally, gets defensive, and might even try to avoid that kind of shot in the future. But the growth mindset, it actually embraces the challenge. That bad shot isn't a final verdict on your skill. It's just feedback. It's a clue telling you what to work on. And that is the real engine of improvement. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we build that growth mindset? It's really a simple 3-step process. First up is awareness. You have to catch that negative thought in the act. Second, you challenge it. You ask yourself, is that really 100% true? And third is replacement. You consciously rewrite that internal script with something that's actually constructive. Let's make this super practical. For awareness, maybe try keeping a thought journal after your round. You might notice you think, I always choke after a missed putt. To challenge it, you can use something called the courtroom method. Literally argue for and against the belief. Are you really a bad chipper, or did you hit a great one just last week? Then, for replacement, you create an anchor phrase, something simple like I trust my stroke, and you pair it with a slow, deep breath. This isn't just happy talk. You are literally rewiring your brain's response. All right, now let's move on and stock up our mental toolkit. Think of these as the power tools for your mental game. These are specific techniques you can pull out and use to actively shape your performance right there on the course. And the first tool is visualization. Hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Just listen to Jack Nicklaus, maybe the greatest golfer of all time. He mentally rehearsed every single shot. This isn't just daydreaming, folks. It's an incredibly powerful technique that primes your brain and your body for success. So how do you do it right? Well, you start by setting a really clear intention, like seeing a perfect drive that splits the fairway. Then find a quiet space, close your eyes, and engage all your senses. Actually feel the texture of the grip in your hands, hear that satisfying sound of impact, and see the ball flying exactly where you want it to go, all from your own point of view. You've got to rehearse success in your mind over and over. These mental reps are just as important as the physical ones. Our second power tool is the pre-shot routine. Now, this is your personal launch sequence for every single shot. And it's not just about waggling the club a couple of times. It's about creating a mental fortress that blocks out all the doubt and locks in your focus. A really strong routine has a few key parts. It starts with assessment, picking your target and deciding on the shot. Then, a quick visualization of that perfect shot. Next, a single deep breath to calm your whole nervous system down. Follow that with a physical trigger, like a waggle or a shoulder roll that signals it's time. And finally, you step into the go zone, where you commit and just swing, without a single shred of doubt. Okay, our third tool is mindfulness. Now, this is simply the practice of being fully present in the moment without judging yourself. In golf, a game with long walks and even longer waits between shots, your mind can easily wander to that last bad shot or worry about the next tough one. Mindfulness brings you right back to the only shot that actually matters, this one. And here are some super simple exercises you can use. After you hit a bad shot, try a one-breath reset to just let it go. When you're walking between holes, do a 5 senses check. Notice 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear. It pulls you out of your head and back into the present moment. Even just the act of walking to your ball can be a mindful reset. Okay, so we've worked on the mindset and we've gathered the tools. So for our final section, let's talk about bringing it all together when it really, really counts, performing under pressure. Really, the ultimate goal of all this mental mastery is to achieve what's known as a flow state. And you know this feeling. It's when you're in the zone. Time kind of seems to slow down, your swing feels completely effortless, and you're just totally absorbed in what you're doing. This is where peak performance lives. Because when the pressure is on, your mind can go one of 2 ways. It can become your absolute worst enemy, just flooding you with doubts and fears, creating tension, and leading you to make a terrible swing. Or, with the right training, it can become your greatest asset, a source of calm, of clarity, and this unwavering confidence that allows you to rise to the occasion and hit the shot you need to hit. So what's the skill that makes all the difference? It's mental resilience. It's your ability to bounce back from a bad shot, to maintain your focus when the stakes are high, and to stay positive even when things just aren't going your way. It is the emotional backbone of every great golfer. And here's a little toolkit to help you build that resilience. Use journaling to turn bad shots into valuable lessons. Simulate pressure when you practice. Create a putting game where you have to make 10 in a row before you can leave. And develop those little micro resets, like that one deep breath, to keep you focused on the shot in front of you, not the one you just left behind. So at the end of the day, you spend so much time and money getting your clubs, your shoes, your physical equipment ready, but the real question you have to ask yourself is this: have you put in the work to get your mind ready to perform? Your equipment is ready. Is your mindset?